Picture a person staring right at you, yet failing to see you. They are in your presence, but their look goes right through you like you were invisible. No scorn, no rage, not even a trace of letdown. There is a much deeper ill, a void. And when an individual ceases to perceive your worth, when your presence becomes meaningless, it signifies a core fracture. It was not one single error, nor a major fight. It was more elusive and much more destructive. You cease to be a man deserving of serious regard. Schopenhauer noted the sharpest ache stems not from animosity, but from insignificance. Since if you are hated, at least you have a place in their reality. But if you are unimportant, you just don't count. This is the domain many men inhabit, not even knowing how they arrived. This time, I will not offer you hollow inspirational phrases or shallow tips on reclaiming someone. I will reveal the profound structure explaining why certain men command inherent respect, as others pass their whole existence pleading for a tiny piece of that esteem. I am telling you, what I will disclose is unsettling, yet it is factual. A quiet instance exists which determines everything. It is when she watches you confront an unforeseen event. It might be a minor scenario, an uncomfortable remark, a changed arrangement, or a slight incitement. At that moment, your response speaks volumes over countless curated phrases, for what she is looking for isn't flawlessness, but a thing much scarcer. She is looking for internal equilibrium. She searches for proof that you are a person who won't fall apart when conditions shift. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor-philosopher, endured conflict, treachery, pestilence, and the loss of his children. Amid that turmoil, he penned a sentence that has echoed through time. You can't control events, but you can always control your response. That is the gap between the man who is respected and the one who is not. One is governed by circumstances, the other traverses them, maintaining his center. When a man reacts with desperation to a minor setback, his voice cracking, seeking blame, or sinking into nervous excuses, he reveals something fundamental. He has no self-control. And if he cannot govern himself in small situations, how could he possibly stay composed when life applies real pressure? She notices instantly. She requires no thought or analysis. She senses it viscerally. It is an instinctual cue indicating this man is not a point of security, but one more weight to bear. Then there is the other kind of man, the one who, when the storm arrives, merely breathes. He does not dramatize, he doesn't erupt, he assigns no blame. He meets the instant with a nearly unnerving composure, and from that calm, he decides what to do. That man isn't faking his strength. His fortitude is merely the result of years mastering himself. Seneca, the Stoic thinker who guided rulers, was exiled for years on a desolate isle. He might have sunk into resentment, but he instead wrote of calm and acceptance. He found that true liberty is not about managing your external environment. It is about growing inwardly indestructible. When a man cultivates this trait, the perception of others changes. His bearing acquires substance. He needs no loud tone to be acknowledged. He requires no grand motions to be seen. He bears a silent firmness, a thing others sense, though they cannot articulate it. That firmness is attractive, since in a reality where many fold at the smallest stress, one who remains centered is an uncommon occurrence. But here's where most men err fatally. They equate stability with total suppression. They think they must turn into statues, devoid of feeling, lacking want, unreachable. But that isn't strength. That is terror masked as command. True strength is not the lack of strong feeling. It is the capacity to sense profoundly, yet not be overtaken by the sensation. Jung discussed the shadow, that dark portion inside us containing all we deny: rage, envy, egocentric wants, primal urges. The majority of men attempt to conceal their shadow, acting as if it's not there. Yet the shadow invariably finds an outlet, via abrupt explosions, indirect spiteful comments, or a silent bitterness that gradually taints all. The man gaining respect doesn't deny his shadow. He incorporates it. He admits his anger and channels it into discipline. He identifies his envy and transforms it into frank discussion. He perceives his need for control and uses it to create order in his own life, not to overpower people. This integration process is Nietzsche's transmutation of values. It isn't destroying your instincts, it's refining them. Because the identical flame that raises a home down can also temper steel. The distinction is its application. Now, I will share a seldom grasped concept. Respect is never obtained by pleading. It has to be sparked. And it is only sparked by one who has constructed something larger than the connection itself. Picture a man whose whole existence centers on a woman. Each choice he makes is for her approval. All his leisure time is spent with her. His emotional state relies completely on her daily treatment of him. How do you suppose she feels when she sees this? She doesn't feel cherished. She feels smothered. Since now she's not just accountable for her own life, but also for providing purpose to his. And that is an intolerable burden. Ortega y Gasset noted man is himself plus his circumstances. Yet some men compress all their circumstances into one individual, and when this occurs, they forfeit their essence. They become shadows, existing only in relation to someone else. The man who is respected leads a life that remains whole, even absent a partnership. He has a mission pulling him from bed each morning. He has a craft to build something lasting. He has a body maintained with discipline, a mind fed by study and reflection, and friendships with other men who challenge and support him. The partnership is not his existence. It is merely one significant piece of a life that is already complete. When a woman encounters a man like that, something changes in the dynamic. She does not feel like she's plugging an urgent emptiness. She feels like she's being invited to participate in a journey that already has direction. And that is freeing, because now she can choose to remain from authentic want, not emotional duty. Spinoza stated that real liberty means acting from one's own essence, not from necessities dictated by someone else. When a man ceases his desperate need, he ironically grows more appealing, because now his presence is a decision, not an act of emotional survival. And only decisions made freely generate real respect. Now, there is one more thing you must grasp. Respect is not constructed via large, heroic acts. It is assembled by minor, silent actions that no one notices. It is in the workout you complete even when you're fatigued. It is in the vow you honor, even when unobserved. It is in the quiet you keep when you could easily erupt. It is in the line you defend when yielding would be simpler. Aristotle called this hexis, habit that shapes character. We are not what we do sometimes. We are what we do repeatedly. And the woman watching you isn't assessing your moments of glory. She's observing your mundane moments. What is your conduct when unobserved? Do you maintain discipline or unravel? Do you respect your word or bend it for convenience? Those are the inquiries that truly matter. Machiavelli wrote that men are thankless, changeable, false, and deceptive. But he also wrote the man who bases his power on firm ground can withstand any tempest. And those foundations are not riches, not looks, not pleasant words. Firm foundations are unbreakable custom. When you have sacred routines in your life, things done no matter how you feel, you're building an identity no one can take from you. That is the true source of respect, because it demonstrates your being relies not on outside validation, but on your own volition. And volition, cultivated day after day, becomes character, and character becomes fate. Yet, let me caution you about something. Some men mistake steadfastness for stiffness. They think that being unbending in everything makes them respectable, when in reality, it only makes them intolerable. True steadfastness is selective. You understand when to keep your line and when to adjust. You know when to speak and when silence says more. You know when to challenge and when to release. This sort of insight doesn't come from any manual. It arises from years of self-observation, discovering which battles matter and which are nothing more than noise. Heraclitus stated no man ever enters the same river twice. Everything flows, everything changes. The sage does not clutch his views from ego. He holds to his principles, navigating fluidly through shifting conditions. This aware pliancy is a superior strength because adapting intelligently demands more bravery than blindly holding one position. And here, we reach a truth that hurts. Sometimes respect is not lost because you did something wrong, but because you finally revealed who you truly are. For a time, you perhaps maintained the pretense, but in the end, the mask fell. And what appeared was a man without a center, a man who only reacts, a man whose identity is just a reflection of others' expectations. Sartre spoke of bad faith, that condition in which we live by lying about our own freedom. We act like we lack options, that situations compel our actions. But the reality is, we constantly choose. We choose to surrender or to hold ground. We choose speech or silence. We choose to build or destroy. And every choice is a vote for the kind of man we are becoming. A woman senses when you repeatedly vote for your lesser self. And upon feeling that, respect vanishes. You must grasp another thing regarding respect's nature. It's not a fixed emotion, it's an ongoing evaluation. She won't respect you one time and then disregard it. She's constantly assessing you via small, ordinary moments. Every decision you make, you're measured. And the most fascinating part is that most of these measurements are unconscious. She's not sitting there thinking about whether she respects you or not. She simply feels it. That feeling is shaped by thousands of microsignals you send without even realizing. Your stance as you talk, your vocal tone when declining, your method for managing tense quiet, how you react to her challenge. All this is computed in the deep recesses of her psyche, and the deduction she makes, whether positive or negative, seems like truth itself. This is why recovering lost respect is so hard, because it isn't about persuading her intellect. It's about altering your essence at an instinctive level. Nietzsche described the eternal return, the concept that if you must relive your life precisely, again and again, for all eternity, could you embrace it? Could you affirm each instant, just as it occurred? This is the final trial of whether you are living with integrity. If the existence you are creating is firm enough that you could reiterate it endlessly without regret, you are on the correct course. But if pieces of yourself remain concealed, if choices are fear-based instead of conviction-based, if you forsake your own truth, then you build on sand and everyone senses it, especially those near you. Let me share a perspective-altering idea. Respect is born from renunciation. It seems paradoxical, but it's profoundly accurate. Only when she senses that you could survive without the relationship if required, can she genuinely respect you. If she detects that you are snared, that you'd do anything to keep her, that your life would end without her, then respect is unattainable. Because respect demands a sense of liberty, and liberty is only authentic when it includes the option of walking away. Kierkegaard mentioned the leap of faith, that instant when you gamble all for what you believe is true. In romance, that leap is the bravery to forfeit, not from a desire for loss, but because your integrity outweighs the ease of remaining in something that no longer honors you. And when a man cultivates that kind of bravery, a strange thing occurs. She senses it, and ironically, her urge to remain grows. For now, she's not with a captive. She's with one who freely opts to be there. And that free decision holds a strength that no frantic begging could ever match. And here is the last secret, which not many men comprehend. Respect isn't the goal, it's the side effect. If you chase it directly, if you try to manufacture it with tricks and strategies, you will fail. Because respect senses falseness from miles away. Respect is born only from radical authenticity, from living by your own principles, even when no one is watching, from crafting your life like an artwork that reflects who you truly are, from incorporating your shadows instead of hiding them, from being firm on what matters and pliable on what doesn't, from nurturing an existence so full that no single person could ever fill all its spaces. When you construct that, respect comes on its own, not because you demanded it, but because you've become the sort of man who is impossible to overlook. The Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, the foreseeing of troubles. It involved imagining all that could fail, not from negativity, but as preparation. When you've already confronted the possibility of loss, when you've already accepted that all can collapse, you cease living fearfully. And lacking fear, you act from your true center. That is the state of the respected man. He is not free from problems, but he is free from the crippling fear of them. He accepts that life is unpredictable and has grounded his strength in the only thing he can truly control, his reaction to whatever comes. So if you feel you've forfeited someone's respect, if you notice that vacant gaze passing through you without truly seeing, inquire within. Have you lived as a man with his own center or merely as a reflection of others' expectations? Have you built a life holding value with or without that person? Have you integrated your shadows or only repressed them? Do you uphold your boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable? Do you possess the bravery to lose so that you don't lose yourself? These inquiries are not easy, and truthful replies will probably show that effort is needed. Yet that is the exact idea. The respected man isn't flawless. He is conscious. He hasn't arrived at an endpoint. He travels a road of perpetual building. And that path, traversed with harsh honesty and silent discipline, is what in the end builds the sort of respect no entreaty could ever demand. Voltaire once stated that every man is guilty of all the good he did not do. If you now have the opportunity to become more firm, more complete, more aware, and you refuse, you are selecting inadequacy. And inadequacy has never been, and never will be, respected. Thus, the last query is not how to force someone to respect you. The query is whether you possess the bravery to construct a life deserving respect, even when unobserved, for that is the singular type of foundation that lasts when all other things disintegrate.